In my first year of university, I got 16 A's out of the 18 courses I took, and ever since I've learned even smarter and better ways to learn. I've learned what actually worked, and I've also made a ton of mistakes over the years. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing practical tips on how to get and maintain a first class in university. You're welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm currently a 6th-year medical student of UI, and this channel is to make us grow as students, both financially, academically, career-wise, and in every other area you can think of. So subscribe to the channel to be a member of this amazing community. And without wasting any more time, let's go into the 9 practical tips I have for you in this video. Tip number 1 is to decide that you want it. And I think you clicking on this video shows that. Like, why else will you be clicking on this video if you don't want the first class? I'm giving you an applaud for that. First of all, deciding you want it is the very first step, because most of the time excellence, or if not all the time, excellence doesn't happen by chance. It happens through deliberate effort at excellence. You are choosing, because it is very easy to have a very poor CGPA. All you need to do is to not show up. Just don't attend classes, don't study for exam or anything, and you're going to have a very poor CGPA if you do that. But to have a good CGPA, to have a first class and maintain it throughout your undergraduate years, it actually requires deliberate effort. It requires deliberate intention at it, and it requires work. So the first thing I want you to do is to decide you want to get it. Tip number 2 is to start early and lock in that momentum. It's actually easy to, or it's much easier to maintain a good grade when you start well in 100 level. Like, if you're already on a first class in 100 level, it is easier to maintain that as you go on, because sometimes 100 level might be the easiest and it might progressively get more complex as you go by the way. But also there's this power of identity. If you've been identified as a very smart student, as a diligent student, as a first class student, and you've been known for that in your 100 level, there's this way this identity just makes you want to maintain that identity. If you're just starting university or you're just about to enter, please, your 100 level, don't take it with levity, take it seriously, because once you start at a very good momentum, it is easier to maintain that momentum. Yeah, I've also seen students that had a very poor grade in their first year, and from 200 level they started working hard. In fact, one of my roommates that I lived with, in his 100 level, when most of us were like working hard and studying, the guy was just playing. He doesn't know that university is different from secondary school. But after 100 level, he saw the way we were, and it was like he really needed to change, and he changed. And I was so proud of him at how his CGPA got much better. Take away from this point is that start early, and if you're already into your university years and you've not been up and doing all this while, yet you can still make a deliberate effort to make the best of the remaining time you have in school. Tip number 3 is to use resources from your seniors. Your seniors have been there, they've done that, and they can really give you insights into what each course will look like. So at the beginning of a semester or at the end of one semester, you should meet a senior, especially people you know are doing very well in the course or people you trust. Ask them about the course, ask them about the lecturers, ask them about material you need to study, get the textbook from them, get the lecture slides from them, and most importantly, get past questions from them. They can give you insight into, oh, this lecturer likes to set his questions like this lecturer, this is what he does, this lecturer, these are the lecturers you cannot miss their classes because they do this. You can get a lot of insight from your seniors. Take advantage of that before the semester starts or at the beginning of semester. Talk to people that have already done that and get insight from them. This will help you plan how you're going to study and how you're going to prepare for that course during the semester. Tip number 4 is to study smart and not just hard. Yes, hard work is important. In fact, you need to work hard. You need to be consistent all through. But it is also important you study right. There are some evidence-based technique that help you study most effectively. They are science-backed. And on this channel, I'm going to be starting a series called the Study Lab, which we are going to be actually distilling and talking more about this effective study technique. We're going to be talking more on that in details, but I think some are just worthy of mentioning. Spaced repetition, active recall, and use of past questions are very important study techniques that you can make and take advantage of. Spaced repetition, like, many of us wish we could just look at the material once and remember it forever and never need to go back to it. But for most of us, maybe except for a few people that are like geniuses, we need to go over a material multiple times before it's actually before we retain a good amount of it. So a way to repeat your material, like repeat exposure to material, is by using different means. First of all, attend the lecture. When you attend the lecture, try to listen. When you get back home, study that thing. After studying it, you can discuss it with friends, attend tutorial. Like these are different ways you are repeating the same material. And the more you repeat the material, the higher the likelihood of you retaining that material. But do it at a spaced interval, which is why it's important to start early. So when you've read something at the beginning of the semester and you are reading it a lot later at spaced interval, the chances of you knowing that thing is better than someone that the time they are beginning to read is just 1 week to exam. There's no chance to space the repetition of such material. Active recall is when you try to bring information from your head without looking at the material. After reading, try to recall as much as you can from what you've read. Even solving past questions is a way to recall actively, and past questions are very, very important. Tip number 5 is to start studying at the beginning of the semester. I remember when I was in 100 level, my roommates then said, "Oh, why are you so serious? Like, first week of resumption, what are you reading? We've not even really started lecture." I know that might be extreme, but the point is to start studying early and it makes your life easy. The reason why I like to study early is because I don't like stress too much. I don't like to be frustrated when exam is coming. I don't like to be stressed out by the amount of work. Though medical school has shown me another part because it's usually different in 100 level than it currently is in medical school. But no, I'm not talking about medical school here. But my point is that you should start early. And most likely for most schools, you're going to be having multiple CAs or multiple tests before your main exams. So if you start studying from the first week of resumption, it means you'll be able to prepare well for each of your tests. And all these tests add up. In different schools, I believe that most of the schools will have 40% allotted to the test and the remaining 60% allotted to the exam. So if someone scores 30 over 40 in the test, which is easy, I believe, because the tests are going to be based on smaller amount of topics. The test will be based on a few number of topics, while the exam will be based on all the topics you've put together. So if you manage to score 30 over 40 in your test and A is 70, right? It's easier to score 40 in your exam than scoring 60 over 60 in your exam. Like, just scoring very well, having a high score in your test just puts you at, like, gives you peace of mind. And besides, like, if you can do very well in your test, because the exam is going to be covering similar concepts in your test, it makes it even easier for you to score well in your exam. So please make sure you take your test seriously and start to study early. Tip number 6 is to plan your weeks ahead or plan your days ahead. In school, there's more. There's more than just the academics. There is the social life, there is the spiritual life, there is all of that stuff, like the fun stuff. Your life is not just going to be about studying alone, you're going to have fun too. So it is very important to learn to manage your time properly. It can be helpful that at the beginning of each week, just look at your calendar and say, okay, what do I want to achieve this week? What do I want to learn this week? What do I want to cover this week? And it helps you kind of prepare your mind ahead of the week. And also keep trying to manage your time. Time management is something I'm still constantly exploring and learning myself, because I can see how important it is. It just allows you to do way more in less amount of time if you know how to manage the time properly. Tip number 7 is that you are unique and try to double down on things that work best for you. I normally say that the best studying tip or the best studying technique is the one that works best for you. There are some study technique that like conventionally they say, oh, this is not effective, but I know myself that this thing actually helps me. I can see results. I use it and it works for me. So I make sure I still keep a part of that technique, even if some people label it ineffective. Does it work for me? Does it give me the result I want? Yes. So I stick with them. So I'm encouraging you explore, try different things, especially at the beginning of university. Try to learn the different things that work for you and double down on it. 100 level is the best time to explore different study skills. It's the best time to watch different videos on how to study and try them out and see, oh, this one is working, this one is not working, and then double down on the ones that are working. I just want you to remember that you are a very unique person, and what is working for you can be different from what works for someone else. And don't try to compare yourself with everybody. Some people find tutorials extremely helpful. Some people will just go to tutorial, listening very carefully, and they might not even need to read for the exam anymore, and they'll do well. Someone like me, I can't do that. I have to actually sit down and read it myself to be able to get the full gist. Some people study in the day, some people study at night. Just pick what works for you and stick with it. Tip number 8 is that when you're in class, try to be there. Like, try to actually be there. In 100 level, I believe that I could not really learn by listening or by paying attention in class. And it always seemed true. So because of that, I'd conditioned my mind that, oh, I was not going to really learn. So when I get to class, I just sit down there, look at the lecturer, then zone out for a long period of time, then come back. I almost always gain very little in classes at the time. When I got into medical school proper, from like 200 level, 300 level, when we are required to do a lot, like we spend a lot of time in school and you are required to actually come for these classes. And then when you get home, you don't have enough time to read again. That's when I decided that anytime I'm going to class, I'm actually going to be there. Though I'd already believed I couldn't learn by listening, I forced myself to listen on regardless. And I noticed that it actually helps. Like, even if it didn't feel like it, sometimes it doesn't feel like I'm learning in the class. But by the time I go back to my own study table to read, I realized that, wow, I actually learned a lot in that class. So my point is that when you go to class, don't be like me when I was in 100 level, where I would just be in class and be probably doing something else or be distracted with other things. Anytime you're going to the class, make sure you're actually learning from the class, else you're just wasting your time. So that the remaining time you have, you're going to be able to use it to study and do other important things for you. And tip number 9, which is the last tip, is that it's a marathon and not sprints. You're going to be spending 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in school, like some of us are spending that long, and it can really get tiring. If you keep studying for so long, sometimes you just get tired and everything just feels so stressful, and you just wonder, what is the point? We've been doing this for so long. That's why it's important to actually enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of learning, enjoy the process of studying. And one way to do that, one way I personally enjoy it, is by my association and relationships. So I have friends that we do this together. If you have friends that you have similar goals, it's easier to do it with them. You see them, they will encourage you. You guys are saying, oh, let's do this thing together, let's fire this thing together, let's solve past questions together. It's very important to choose your friends wisely and try to make it as fun as possible. Your undergraduate years is not just for the grades. I do not recommend getting a first class and be miserable throughout your undergraduate years. That's not nice. You should try to connect with people. You should try to have fun as much as possible. You should try to engage in other activities beyond just the academics. That's the end of this video. I really hope these tips have been helpful to you. I hope these are things you're going to apply, and I really want you to try these things out. Don't take my words for it. Just try these things out and see how much they're going to help you. And I really wish you best of luck. I wish you a first class CGPA this semester and the next and the next, and you're going to graduate with a first class degree. Yeah, that's my wish for you. Thank you for watching to this point, and please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. I just want to test if you watch this video to the end. Can you please leave this emoji in the comment section just to see that you actually watched till the end? I'm trying to see how well people stay true to the end of my videos. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.